Today's video is brought to you by Blazer Raid. Blazer, thank you. Gargos Vicious Watcher versus Kaalia of the Vast, Sygg River Cutthroat, and Kenrith the Returned King. Very much looking forward to the new Rogue Commander that's coming out, the Lord that cares about milling and drawing cards, and Sygg River Cutthroat will definitely be going in there. Very good 1v1 commander this. Just some tap lands for everybody. There might be a Vampiric Tutor or something like that over here. We get ourselves into a tap land for turn 1, so we'll just do that straight away. And for any of you who saw the RAF video, you'll know that it was lagging like crazy. I have just got a new computer and everything works perfectly on it. Oh, we're not we're not in a 2-colour deck, so no need for tap lands, is there? Do we risk a Dryad Arbor then? Nah, let's just risk it. Dryad Arbor's in here for turn 1 ramps with a Green Sun Zenith. Although I don't think that's really any good for multiplayer. I don't think it helps all that much. I might pull Dryad Arbor out. But anyway, yeah, the game was lagging like crazy, so I've had to find a means of emulating Windows with a different method on my Mac and gone over from VirtualBox to Parallels and just giving Parallels a trial run. So that's why Windows isn't activated and I can't hide this bar at the bottom because Windows won't allow me to do that until Parallels and Windows are all activated and paid for. So hopefully it's not too distracting to you. This isn't going to be a common occurrence from now on. I'm just testing all this out. Anyway, Sygg River Cutthroat coming down from the Sygg player, as well as a Talisman of Dominance over here. Then we draw into Worldly Tutor. Let's go for the Nature's Law here. And then we can hold up mana for the Worldly Tutor. I don't know if we particularly care about it, but we might do by the end of Kaalia's turn. We might want to go for a Rex Sage or something. Talisman of Hierarchy from the Kenrith player, continuing to get their 5 colours up and running. And then going in for another Talisman. Alright, so 3 Talismans in play. Doesn't look like they have a land to make, unfortunately. Kenrith is being brought to us by Go Batman, by the way, friend of the channel, patron of the channel. And it's a Trinket Mage for Sygg River Cutthroat. They find themselves a Mana Crypt, but decided not to play it, not risking the Lightning Bolt, because they've obviously got nothing to do with the mana, which might tell us about what they don't have in hand. They obviously don't have any Talismans or 2-mana rocks of their own to play. Then Kaalia getting down a Phyrexian Arena. Yeah, I don't think we want to go for the Worldly Tutor for that, so let's just continue to see what we draw into. Alright, a Mind Stone isn't awful. So let's drop the Mind Stone and continue to ramp. We'll also go for the Elemental Bond. I was never going to block with the Dryad Arbor, and Sygg and Trinket Mage could always go in at Kaalia anyway to draw the card with 3 life lost. So I might as well tap out there. Vampiric Tutor coming from the Kenrith player. And then a Buried Alive puts 3 creatures from library to graveyard. Oh, and because Gogo lost a life to the Talisman and then some life to the Vampiric Tutor as well, that triggered Sygg, so they got a card there. They put Solemn in the bin, Phantasmal Image, and Agent of Treachery. That's a scary one. Did that with the Buried Alive. Seeing the Mana Crypt now. And then a Black Market from our opponent. And turning the 2 creatures in sideways towards Gogo. Obviously scared of the reanimation possibilities over here, I would think. And getting themselves up to 8 cards, they'll have to discard here. And they discard a Death Cult Rogue, so it looks like this might be Rogue Tribal then. I've put that as a bit of a placeholder in my Rogue Tribal deck. I don't think it'll stick around in there. Once I've got access to the new Zendikar Rogues, there'll be plenty of replacements for that, including the new Vampire Nighthawk. Now, Phyrexian Arena is going to draw our opponent an additional card. They just have to make a land here and they can get down their Kaalia. And a land they do make. But instead of playing Kaalia unprotected on turn 4, they set up with a Swiftfoot Boots first. I think we are going in for... yeah, let's go in for our commander. I'm hoping Kaalia is scarier than Gargos, but we'll soon find out. I'm sure the Sygg player has plenty of shenanigans to get going with. We have now got both Boseiju and Ancient Tomb. We do have Urborg in this deck so that we can tap these down for mana without taking too much life. But obviously we have to draw into that in order to play it. Painful Truths from the 5 colour player draws them 3. And they lose 3. Then Animate Dead onto the Agent of Treachery, I imagine. Maybe they steal our Gargos away. Nope, they go for the Phyrexian Arena from the Kaalia player, so obviously they want to get themselves into more cards, currently on 4 in hand. And it is Dead Man's Chest enchanting our commander. When the enchanted creature dies, exile cards equal to its power from the top of its owner's library and you can cast them for as long as they remained exiled. And with that we will get rid of... do we want to get rid of Sygg or the Agent of Treachery? I think I'd rather leave this in play, to be honest, because they can't reanimate it if it's in play, can they? They can flicker it though, but yeah, we'll see if they have any flicker before we start worrying about that. Get rid of the Sygg. And they can just replay it here with the 4 mana they've got. Yep, definitely Rogue Tribal. This is another good one from the most recent core set. We'll draw your cards and you can make it unblockable. Now, does Kaalia have another land to make? They do, so we're going to see a hasty Kaalia this turn. Might be worth... well, it might have been worth a Reclamation Sage last turn, but I was hoping that Sygg was going to have some spot removal. So it's fingers crossed that Kaalia doesn't have anything too scary. Ghostly Pilferer will draw a card because Kaalia was not cast from the hand. And the Boots obviously gets equipped and they swing in. And they throw into play a Thunder Dragon. Deals 3 damage to each creature without flying. That's pretty good for us. Gets rid of everything except our Gargos. Now then, is there any creature we can go for with Worldly Tutor that'll give our opponents a headache? Yeah, I'm sure there's something we can get, so let's go for... no, maybe we just go Hunter's Insight, actually. I think that's a better strategy, especially with a Reliquary Tower. So let's forego the Worldly Tutor for now. Alright, Skyshroud Claim. We'll play the Ancient Tomb. Then let's swing in at Kaalia. And there's no response to blocks because they're tapped out, as is everyone else. So we'll use Hunter's Insight. We will fight with their dragon. And that puts another counter on Black Market, up to 6 counters there. So there's going to be a lot of black mana floating around for the Sygg player. And then when we hit our opponent, we'll draw 8 cards, putting our opponent on 8 commander damage as well. Now then, maybe a Lightning Greaves would be good. Yeah, so in that case, let's go for the Skyshroud Claim first of all. Might as well get a couple of lands into play, and then we'll go for the Lightning Greaves. And minus a board wipe, that should make it difficult for our opponents to do anything to Gargos. Might be that one of them goes for a board wipe anyway, because there are 2 scary commanders in play. Oh, and I've just noticed that we got into our Urborg as well, so that's good, along with the Boseiju and the Ancient Tomb. Agent of Treachery coming out from the graveyard again, not sure how they did that. Ah, they played Body Double. Alright, so the Agent of Treachery is a Body Double, came in as a copy of the Agent of Treachery, of course. And they've stolen Phyrexian Arena already, now stealing a Black Market. If they get another permanent of our opponents, or one of ours, then this will start drawing them 3 cards at the end of their turn. Just so happens to be another good rogue, by the way, for any of you who are wanting to build a rogue tribal deck. It's going to be in mine. Nezumi Grave Robber. Exile a target card from an opponent's graveyard. They might want to do that on the Agent of Treachery. Doing it on the dragon first, worried about reanimation from the Kaalia player, and that's also an easy means of flipping that straight around. Now they can reanimate creatures, as long as they've got the 5 mana to do that with. So they might be able to reanimate the Agent of Treachery over here and steal back their black market. No Mercy coming from the Kaalia player, trying to keep us off of swinging in at them. Let's see who they swing in at. Not coming in at us as punishment for swinging in at them. They're assuming that the Gargos is not going to go in at them while No Mercy is in play. I think we are going to go for Worldly Tutor for that Rex Sage. Swinging in at the 5 colour player. And down comes Drakuseth Maw of Flames. That doesn't trigger on attacks when it comes in with Kaalia, thankfully. I think trying to get a buff on this so that we can have it survive there would be good. Okay, Cyclonic Rift coming down, and it is not overloaded, thankfully. This is quite a fast game. It's only turn 6, but getting back their black market. And knocking Gogo down to 10 already. This is why everyone's scared of Kaalia. So at the beginning of the upkeep, let's go for the Worldly Tutor. Not doing the best job of drawing into creatures at the moment. We might be able to have our opponent hold back a creature as a blocker if we knock them down to 16 points of Commander. Let's see here, where are we? Reclamation Sage. Draw into the Rex Sage. And let's play that out. Might have to go for the Song of the Dryads onto the Drakuseth as well, because it's just too good a creature to leave in play, I think. Then, don't know if we can get away with a tap land this turn. Let's see. We could play Pier, Sylvan Library. Might have to go Song of the Dryads, like I said. Let's put the Lightning Greaves onto the Rex Sage to throw a bit more damage through to the Kaalia player. One more direct hit from Gargos and they are down, so like I said, they might have to hold back blockers. Might also be that they can actually hard cast their dragons next turn. I'm assuming that this is Dragon Tribal. Then we'll shove the Lightning Greaves back onto Gargos. Or actually, do we want to put maybe Canopy Cover onto Gargos and then fight the Nezumi Grave Robber as well? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's go Canopy Cover. And that will effectively give this hexproof. Let's get rid of the Nezumi Grave Robber. I don't want things getting reanimated. It's just one more thing to keep track of. So we'll get rid of that. And then Sylvan Library is more cards for us to draw. So let's go Sylvan Library. And then I think we can just get out the tap land. Yeah, we'll go for the tap land and get out the Hardened Scales. And we'll leave the Drakuseth in play for another turn. If they want to turn that sideways, then it's one less blocker for them, like I said. I'm thinking we're in board wipe territory at this point because life totals are plummeting at quite a rate. I'll tell you what, let's put the Lightning Greaves onto our Gargos as well, just in case they get rid of the Canopy Cover somehow. Dead Man's Chest is a lot better with the Commander rule changing now that the Commanders actually die. Dead Man's Chest might actually be a really good one. I'll have to try that out in some decks. Phyrexian Arena triggering for Kenrith. And Austere Command, there we go. Destroy all creatures. Dead Man's Chest will trigger. So I'm glad we didn't waste the Song of the Dryads now. I had an inkling that someone was going to wipe the board. We do have white and black players here. And what have they taken from us? They have got some X-Spell Hydras, which won't be much use to them. Garruk's Uprising is really good, although I dare say they won't manage to trigger it without our creatures. So they'll have to put a lot of mana into these to trigger that. Zendikar Resurgent they will really like, I imagine. Nature's Claim is always a good one to have as well. Anyway, Kenrith went for a careful study. They discarded the Nezumi Grave Robber. So 2 Nezumi Grave Robbers showing up this game. They discarded theirs, they discarded Toxic Deluge as well. They do go for the Zendikar Resurgent, as you would expect. Yeah, I don't think there's any means of us grabbing that back. We don't have Eternal Witness in this deck, so we can't blow it up and then get it back with E-Witness, I don't think, or any effect like that. Steel Hellkite from the Kaalia player. I don't like that either. We've got some decent stuff in play. They could pay 2 for us. They could pay 2 over here and mess up the Kenrith player. Okay, Nissa, Vastwood Seer. We are going to see some more cards with Sylvan Library. Our life total has stayed pretty consistent this game. And I want to try and get into some removal for the Zendikar Resurgent. Alright, Primeval Bounty. Speaking of a decent life total, let's pay all the life for these. And I think our commander costs 8 now. Yeah, so we can only really go for our commander and Rancor. Everyone's tapping out every turn, which I very much like. So we'll make use of the Kenrith player's Urborg here by tapping that down for no life. Throw down Gargos. And that will draw us another card. Get into Thought Vessel. I think I'll play that this turn. Let's go for Rancor first. And this will lay 10 commander damage on someone. Let's aim it at the Steel Hellkite. And then I'm actually going to swing in over here because I'm worried about the Zendikar Resurgent. So let's go Lightning Greaves there. And we'll go straight down the middle. So Sygg looks like they're going to untap with 7 cards in hand and access to these ones as well. I will keep the Swiftfoot Boots a secret for now. We'll throw out the Thought Vessel this turn instead. Might be that our opponent uses the Nature's Claim to get rid of Lightning Greaves. But we seem to be doing quite well as a Voltron list at the moment. Not getting into our Hydras, unfortunately. If the board remains intact as it is, I'm thinking we go Pure Imaginative Rascal and Primeval Bounty next turn, once we get this out. Assuming it doesn't get removal pointed at it, it's going to do a lot of work for us. King Kenrith coming down now. They are on 7 life over there, so they're going to have to be careful with the Phyrexian Arena and the Talismans. Deciding to gain 5 life with the Kenrith and tap out. Double mana here, and our opponent has managed to make an island. They were struggling on blue mana for a while there. Oh, Consecrated Sphinx, that's a really good one. And they'll even draw a card from casting the Sphinx. Although if they keep tapping out, it's not as scary as it could be. Sakashima the Imposter. Yeah, it's any creature on the battlefield. So they don't have to target, but they can target the Sphinx anyway. I was wondering if they'd want to go for Gargos, but 2 Consecrated Sphinxes is alright. Then Diabolic Tutor, search for a card and put it into your hand. So not making use of our spells. Yeah, they'll get 4 cards every time someone draws a card, and that means they're going to get a cartload from the Sylvan Library. That does count as card draw. That means they'll draw 12 cards with Sylvan Library. A Thundermaw Hellkite comes down, and that can tap out the Sphinxes. They do tap the Sphinxes down. We should be able to take these out next turn then. And they do go for the Swiftfoot Boots on there. Don't know if they're going to want to turn sideways. They decide not to because they want to block as much damage as possible. If we do swing in at them, then we can still take them out. They don't have enough toughness to block all the damage with. We draw into a Nykthos. We haven't even drawn with the Sylvan Library yet, and they're already drawing 4 additional cards. And apologies if you can hear a bunch of noise going on. It's a sunny day outside, and here I am recording Magic the Gathering. But yeah, it's a sunny day outside. The sirens going off, people flying past on motorbikes and cars with big boy exhausts on them. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of noise going on out there. I'll do my best to remove it and talk around it. Then we go for the Sylvan Library. They draw even more cards. I'm just going to keep these because we're going to hopefully start gaining some life here with the Primeval Bounty. We've got a land to make for the turn. Heroic Intervention is good because I'm going to have to take the Greaves off of our commander, and then the Kaalia player might get nervous and shoot it. They've got 1 card in hand. It could be a Swords to Plowshares. And the blue player could have free counter magic in hand, so Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get rid of them this turn, but I'll do my damnedest. So the first thing we'll do is go for the Primeval Bounty, and the blue player passed through the turn really quickly there, so I don't think they've got any free counter magic. Let's go for Nykthos, gain ourselves some life. Then we're going for Peer Imaginative Rascal, and that will throw out a beast, which will draw us a card. This is supposed to be Hydra Tribal, believe it or not. We haven't seen any Hydras. Then we'll just go for the green mana from Nykthos now. Now that makes 9. Let's move the Greaves over to Peer. That way we can put plus counters on Gargos. Then it's Branching Evolution. And we'll put the plus counters on Gargos so that we can get rid of Sygg this turn. So that makes that a 15-12. We'll get even more plus counters. Alright, the Kaalia deciding to scoop. I was going to point the... where is it? The Song of the Dryads at their Swiftfoot boots so that we wouldn't have to worry about haste, so I'm glad that they've scooped now, if they were going to. Let's go for Nissa Vastwood Seer. And that will make us another beast, draw us another card, draw the Consecrated Sphinx player a bunch of cards as well. They're up to 31 cards in hand. And then let's put the Greaves onto Gargos just before... we might see a Snuff Out or something like that here, but it looks like they don't have free removal either. So I'll play Swiftfoot Boots. We're not going to be able to hold up the Heroic Intervention, unfortunately. Thought we might have gotten into a 3 visits so that we could get out an untapped forest, but unfortunately not. Let's just make a beast really threatening, so that they don't point removal at Peer. And just with the 1 trigger from Primeval Bounty, that gets 10 plus counters on it. We'll use the 1 floating mana to give this hexproof and haste. And then we will swing in for commander damage at Sygg. 13 damage going in at Go-Go, forcing them to block with their Kenrith. And the Sygg player decides to scoop to that. So we'll see if Go-Go decides whether or not they want to play it out. They might just let it through. They do not. They do decide to play it out. So blocking with Kenrith. And then with the 1 more piece of mana we've got, let me just put the Swiftfoot Boots onto Gargos instead. Just in case I want to point some fight spell at that or something. I can't see it really mattering, but you never know. And then we will protect our 13-13 over the Peer. And we can leave the turn at that. Plenty of spells that white has to remove all the non-land permanents from the board, so might be that our opponent has something like that. Read the Bones will get them a step closer to it if they do have it in the deck. And then Gonti, Lord of Luxury, isn't going to do it for them, I don't think. We do have Trample on our Gargos, don't forget. Alright, so I'm not going to belabour the point anymore. We'll put the rocks on top of our library. We can shuffle them away with Misty Rainforest, but we'll just go straight through to combat. I don't see what our opponent can have here, but it's not over till it's over. Using Gonti to block the Gargos, we've got Heroic Intervention. If they've got some kind of white fog, I don't think a white fog exists. Now there we go, knocking them down to -19. Big thank you to my opponent for playing that with me. We actually got 2 good randoms there. I think they could have scooped away before then. Not that I think they should have done, but I think a lot of other players would have before then, so big thank you to them for not scooping as well. And hopefully you all enjoyed this revisit to Gargos. New commanders will be coming out from Zendikar soon, so I'm just revisiting a few old ones that I've made some tweaks to. You can have a look in the description for the deck list if that interests you. And I will see you all in the next game, I hope. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.